Hello everyone, Sheek here with another Transformers Reviews, and today I will be reviewing Maketoys MTC CO Giant Series Giant Type-61, better known as Devastator. And here is the box, and we'll take a quick look at the box. I don't want to bother showing you the rest of the packaging, but it shows all 6 of them in their robot modes, combined form, with the, I guess, alternate head, or their main head. And then inside of the box, robot mode, barcode, sticker thing, probably for inventory. But on the back of the box shows them all in their individual robot modes and vehicle modes, and then their combined form showing off his alternate face, which I would assume is the main face for Devastator, and the other one is articulated on the mouth, and it just looks super creepy. So I don't use that face, but I'm not gonna bring myself to throw it away, at least not yet. Yeah, that's about it for the box. Okay, now moving right along, we have the Bone Crusher, Bulldozer, Scavenger, Scoop, Hook, Crane, Scrapper, another bulldozer or similar type vehicle. So I move this back a little bit. And then we have Mixmaster or cement truck, and then long haul or dump truck. And together they form Devastator. I would normally do the reviews, the individual reviews first, but I think I'll go ahead and just go big and do the Devastator review first, and then the individual character reviews later. Well, I got them all in vehicle mode, and then I'll go ahead and transform them into their combined forms, or their components. And then, of course, there's these little trailer pulley things, I don't know, maybe tractor or something, for his arms. And then, of course, here is what I consider the alternate head, and there his creepy mouth. And yeah, and whenever you try closing his mouth, it pushes his head up inside, which is more for when he's in storage in his on hook. And then he does have a visor that comes down. I think that is kind of cool, but I don't think the other one has that, which I think would be kind of cool if he does or did. But I much prefer the traditional face, or at least as close to the traditional face. Alright, so let's go ahead and get these ready for their combined modes. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the Scrapper. First thing I want to do is take off his engine. It's going to be used for support. You then kind of pull out his scoop shovel, pull this down, and then it reveals like a piston thing. I think it's just supposed to make Devastator look kind of a little cooler. Then you rotate this around, and this all rotates together. Then you plug this onto these 2 pegs right here, like so. And then looking it to the right angle, it's kind of tricky sometimes. Oh, that's why, because you have to actually detach it from there first. Yeah, you have to do that. And then it plugs in like so, although it's not wanting to plug in quite like so. I guess I could go ahead and plug it in on these first, like this, and then get it repositioned. This thing is the most frustrating thing about getting Scrapper ready, is that for me it's just very difficult to get positioned, and I don't know why it's so hard for me. It just is. Okay, oh, come on. Back on there. Okay, I think I'll pause this and I'll come back when I get it done. Alright, got it figured out. After taking a quick peek at the instructions, you need to have it lined up like this. So I guess a good way to remember would be the top of this part is facing towards the bucket. My main complaint with this, though, is this engine, like the tabs on here, they started to show some stress marks. So I wish they could have come up with a better way to keep this all in place other than using that, because then I'm afraid that after a while it's just going to break, and then that means that his heel is going to be a lot weaker if that ends up happening. But there we go, have him as a leg. Another thing that you need to do is pull down his head a little bit and pull this a little bit further down to make this a little more visible. And as you can see, he does have ankle tiltage, at least for Big Devastator. Okay, let's go ahead and set him off to the side. Let's go ahead and get Mixmaster transformed. He's pretty straightforward as well. Well, more straightforward, I should say, than Scrapper. Go ahead and... Problem is, even though it is pretty straightforward, just getting it to rotate where you want it to rotate is kind of tricky. But you want to get this whole part to rotate, and it's not cooperating. Come on. Come on. Alright, it is kind of tricky to get to do it, but you want to get this whole assembly to, or not assembly, but the whole like side and roof of it to rotate up, but there we are. But it secures in place very well, which is good overall. Means that it's nice and tight, but makes transforming problematic. So you do, and you make sure that's extended, and there you go. Got another leg, and which also has ankle tiltage. Go ahead and set that off with the other leg. There we are. Let's go ahead and start with, or go ahead with long haul next. As you can see, this is the chest plate of Devastator. Just go ahead and untab this from his hands. There we are. Set off to the side. Go ahead and remove these weapons, which are pistons. I'm not exactly sure what they're supposed to be, but when you pull them out like this, each one is a screwdriver. Like this one is a flathead, although for some reason it's not wanting to stay in place. Maybe the plastic is somewhat flexed outward or bent outward, so it's not really wanting to stay in place very well. Maybe it's because this got put in too far, maybe? I don't know, but the other one's Phillips. So, let's go ahead and get him ready. Okay, so first things first, pull off this like that. You want to separate right here, like so. Then you want to pull these tires down like that. Want to flip these in like that. Then you want to disconnect this, rotate his tires around along with his legs like that. Then you do the same on this side. Rotate tires and flip or rotate around. Come on. Yeah, like that. And then I want to get these crotch panel plates out of the way and bring them down. And as you can see, his upper legs are starting to form for Devastator. Then you want to get this snapped back into place. And then you want to go ahead and keep these kind of off to the back. Although you do want to close up his arms like that and like that, and then you want to rotate what was it? I do believe it's sort of like this, and then what you end up doing is sticking these screwdriver things into his hands. There we go. This is how you want his arms, like this, so that his hands are facing up so that they go on a little better. There we are. I don't know if you can hear it in the video, but there is a very sad dog barking in the apartment. Not this apartment itself, but it's an apartment nearby, and I am both frustrated and sympathetic for the poor animal, but it is making it hard to concentrate and focus. And I'm considering postponing the rest of the videos until after this. And so you go ahead and place these in his hands, although you can always do that later, or if you don't want to, you don't have to have them there to begin with. Yeah, that's pretty much it for getting long haul ready. Just double check, make sure I'm not missing anything important, or missing correction, I actually did mess something up. You need to have it like this, but you still want to have the fist up like this. Have it like this, and then rotate this side, and then make sure his fist is still up so that you can then plug these in to his hands. Although you obviously don't have to. It's of course personal preference if you want to or not. And then you can also have his hands either like this off to the side, or just straight up and down. And these hands or the arms don't quite like to stay where you put them, because it is a slightly different orientation than for his vehicle mode. There we are. Or maybe not. There we are. Come on. Tab into place. It is not going to tab into place. There we are. There. No, come on. This thing is being uncooperative. It's very annoying. Okay. There we are. I think. Why is it that when you're making a video and filming it, you do not want to cooperate? I don't know what it is. And that's not just me. It's also other YouTubers. They've also said the same thing. Like, whenever it's on camera, that's when it does not want to cooperate. And now, finally, we got it to where we need to have it. And as you can see, looks like pistons. And then, if you want to go ahead and start putting... Oh, another thing. This is more of a personal preference. I don't think it's actually supposed to be done per the instructions. But having his feet... Well, never mind. It is per instructions. But either way, of course, it's also personal preference if you want to have him down or not. But these kind of make like his kneecaps for Devastator. So you go ahead and to attach them, you just go ahead and push down like that, and you'll see that it'll click into place. And then if you want to detach it for later on, you press the two buttons on the side and depresses it to completely separate them. That's one thing that I really do like about this guy more than Combiner Wars Devastator, other than that he's a little bit smaller and easier to manage, is that everything locks together, so he's less likely to have parts just falling off. Okay, so go ahead and set that off into the back. Let's go ahead and work on Bone Crusher. So these guys, the arms, there isn't too much that you do to get them ready. You just essentially untab right here and just get this whole assembly flipped out, and then you click this into place. That's just where his forearm's going to attach. But you just kind of get this thing worked out a little bit, and this will be essentially his shoulder. This will be where it connects to hook, and then this is where the arm connects, and then you just go ahead and tab these back into place up here, and then you can go ahead and attach one of his hands. Make sure it's the right one, of course. This would be his left hand, so I'll just go ahead and set this off to the side and go ahead and grab his right hand. And there we go. Got that, and then just go ahead and slide it into place. Like that. And there it goes, it clicks, and then you can go ahead and rotate that. And there you go. And then, to make it easier to put it on, which would be hook, I probably should have done hook next in all honesty, but then you just slide that in and it goes into place. Since I already did one arm, I'll just go ahead and do the other. Take Scavenger, pretty much the same thing as Bone Crusher. Get this out, click into place, wiggle this out all the way, which it kind of is now, and then you just go ahead and tap this back into place, although it looks like he's not wanting to tab in as much. Okay, there we are. Got him tabbed back in. Then you can go ahead and just collapse that up, or have it positioned however you like. And let's go ahead and attach his arm. And there we go. Got 2 arms down. Now just to do the main head and upper body, just go ahead. Now this is the only, with the exception of his forearms and chest piece, this is like the only main parts forming that he does. Part of me, it kind of irks me a little bit, but considering how good or how well this figure's engineered in general, I don't hold it against it really, because like I said, it is very well engineered. There we are. You just essentially take them apart or fold them in half like this. Sort of like most hooks, whether it be G1, Combiner Wars, whatever. And you just flip up these side panels, and as you can see, this is where they'll connect. I guess one potential downside really is that these panels, you can't really flip them down. There's nowhere really to put them, but they're not too noticeable, but I think they get in the way of articulation a little bit. But just slide his head over and flip it up like that. And then there really isn't anything that you do as far as other than just, let's tilt the camera up a little bit. If you can see these 2 little hooks, what you do is you depress these buttons. I mean, I don't know if you 100% have to, but I'd recommend doing it just so that you don't damage anything. And then you just set it on here like so, release the buttons, and it's clipped securely in place. And it's not really going anywhere until you press these buttons or yank so hard until you break it, which would be a sad day for everyone involved. And then you go ahead and clip this on by pressing somewhat firmly into it. And then, let's see, then you get this to plug into here. Okay, it needs to be just a little bit further down. There we go, like that. And then it plugs into here on the front, and then here on the inside of the back. Then you can push a little bit to squeeze this all back together, but having his arms on is just going to kind of pull down on that a little bit. Same problem with Combiner Wars Devastator, but it's not as bad on this guy because he's a lot smaller. That's another reason why I wanted to go with him, because much smaller figure, much less to not go wrong, but less weight and torque and all that stress put on these joints. And you can also press the button to make it a little bit easier to slide in. Then make sure it's fully in. Once it's in, just collapse this down like that. And there we go. Have one arm done. Although this came on, the treads came undone again, but that's the same problem with Combiner Wars Devastator 2. The tread's just not wanting to stay in place. But there we are. Got one arm. Now put on the second arm. Like I said, press the button. Although this one's a little bit harder to reach, but press the button. If you have long fingernails, that definitely helps. You just press it and wiggle it in. You don't have to for these. You could just slide them in and then it clicks into place. But if you push the button, and sort of like with other things with latches, is that it won't wear out as quickly if you do it that way. And then collapse down. And here we have Devastator in his combined mode. And let's see if I can get him situated a little bit better. Let me tilt a little bit. There we are. Although he's going to lean back. Now he's going to lean forward. Okay, now he's staying pretty much straight up. Let's move the camera back a little bit. So, yeah, here he is. Here's the hook. You can, of course, attach it up here so that it just goes where it traditionally would, which is what I prefer to do. But there is an option for you to put it into his hand and essentially make it a sort of like battle hammer hook thing, something along those lines. And I'm going to go ahead and show off his gun. Before I forget, meaning I totally forgot, I need to show you his articulation. Alright, so first things first, here's his head. Ball joint, up, down, side to side, wibbly wobbly, whatever, wiggle waggle, full 360. His shoulders are on, it's like a double ratchet, but his treads do get in the way, but you can go out about that far. You can, of course, do a full 360. He does have bicep swivel. He gets a little over 90-degree bend at the elbow. Nothing backwards. His wrist does rotate full 360. It doesn't bend or anything. Thumb has just a ball joint. Fingers individually articulated, but only one point of articulation at the hand part, or the palm knuckles, at the knuckles. But nothing on the finger joints, which is better in my opinion considering the size of these hands. I wouldn't want to have to deal with too many joints. Let's see, and then for he does have hip rotation, although it is greatly impeded by the dump truck bed of long haul. He can go, his legs can go out about this far, not much farther because of the leg or tires, but realistically for posing, you're not going to want to have him go out much farther than that anyway. But he cannot do the full splits. His legs can, if you move up his flap, can go up about that far, back about that far, but then again the way of there. Then you need to about 90 degrees bend at the knee, and then of course, like I mentioned, ankle tiltage. Alright, so that's it for articulation. Alright, so here's his gun. As you can see, it is done in a purple, and then you can see there is some barrels in there. Purple, gray, plastic. It is, as you can see, conglomeration of other guns that stick together. Unfortunately, a lot of them are just friction joints, or it's all friction joints, and some of them are looser than others. This one especially. It does not like to stay in place. But I don't want to just glue it either, because these do split into 6 different guns one for each of them, which I think is really brilliant. And of course, I'll show that in some future videos of their individual reviews. That is, if I have time to get to them before I leave for California. So, go ahead and close his hands around his gun. And there you go. There he has his big old gun. And there we go. Okay, I guess I didn't have it quite pushed up far enough. But there he is with his big old blaster. Looks pretty cool. Wish they could have had like a little peg on the gun to plug into the hand so they could hold it a little bit better. But his hand right now, the joint is stiff enough to where he can sort of hold it without it falling out of his hand. But I wouldn't be surprised if in too long it starts falling off on its own. But then again, I've never really thought of Devastator as the blaster type. I always saw him more as a punch things and crush things and doing things with bare hands rather than a blaster. But I really like the look of this figure. It is somewhat stylized, obviously, but he seems a little more proportioned. He's not cartoon accurate, but he is more accurate to the Combiner Wars Devastator, I think, to a point. For example, like with the arms, because on the Combiner Wars Devastator toy, the treads are incorporated into his chest and upper body, and it's just this part that's on the arms, giving him very thin looking arms, whereas on him the actual treads are part of his arms, and that's how he's depicted in the box art in Transformers Combiner Wars, or was it not Combiner Wars? He wasn't Combiner Wars Devastator, it's Titan class Devastator, I think. Maybe not. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I actually looked at him. I know they re-released him, but they did some things with him. But yeah, the box art depicted these as being separate and rotating on his arms, but on the toy that was not the case, and that kind of annoyed me a bit. But really like this. I mean, I guess this could have been a little bit bigger, but considering how the proportions, it makes sense to have it be smaller than as big as it was. Well, this has been Sheek's Transformers reviews of Maketoys Giant Type-61 Devastator. And if you liked what you've seen and you'd like to see more, please click that like and subscribe button to see more whenever I get around to it. Like I said in the previous video, I'm not going to be making so many more. This is possibly going to be my last one. If I can, I'll at least get maybe one or two of them reviewed individually before I have to leave. But thank you for all your support and all that, and hopefully I'll get some more videos out to you shortly. Bye. Alright, I decided to include some pictures of Devastator side by side with the third-party Devastator that I got. Unfortunately, I would have done a comparison side-by-side review, but I took him to a toy store to clean up my collection. But here you guys go. Enjoy!